Hello there. New rules but same old rivalry. Tonight in Tralee we've the latest chapter in a duel that has gripped generations for decades. Lots of new faces on both teams, but whenever Dublin and Kerry meet, it's the same old values that always prevail.
The rivalry between Kerry and Dublin is intense.
It's Deliverance Day for the Blue and Navy as they face the green and gold of Kerry. What a sense of occasion. What noise.
It's the Gooch, and it's a goal.
McMenamin dodging, McMenamin scoring. Here he comes to win the All-Ireland Cluxton. He's put it over the bar. Match of the year. Is it going the right way? Yeah, he's got it.
McMenamin still going.
He got it.
He's done it again.
Still in play. It bounces. It's a goal. And it's all over.
Dublin get the goal into Hill 16.
Trying to settle this little argument. Which of these is best?
Lock and load. Get ready for this.
Some great memories. Hopefully we'll have more of the same. Round 3 of the Allianz Football League tonight. It's Dublin versus Kerry. Throw-in is just moments away. But we've had some great games already today. Derry and Galway having a dramatic draw at Celtic Park, and more great games to come this weekend as well. And this is how it all looks in the top flight. Galway still out in front. Dublin and Kerry with a win and a loss thus far. Welcome to Austin Stack Park. This place is absolutely thronged and it's great to see. I'm in great company as well. Colm Cooper and Kieran Whelan are with me. Colm, round 3 of the Allianz Football League. What have you made of the new rules so far?
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, Damien. I think they were very welcome. I think, like most players, managers and officials as well, we're still getting used to it. I think you have to give it we're not going to know until maybe 7 or 8 games in, but I've enjoyed the games. The scoring is up. And as the league goes on, I expect teams to improve and get the kicking going a little bit more. I think there's probably been a little bit too much hand-passing for my liking, but I think teams will evolve as the league goes on.
Yeah, early data coming out, Wheelo, suggests that there is a lot of hand-passing and maybe not as much kicking from place balls as we imagine, because the solo and go is so popular. That's a good thing too.
Yeah, well, the solo goal is definitely a success, Damien, but I think, listen, the conditions have been different in a lot of the matches of the first 2 weeks, and I think possession is still key. Teams are still keeping possession. They're still maybe risk adverse. They're not kicking the ball, so a lot of them are still working it through the hands, and you're beginning to see trends develop. But I think overall a large majority of it is positive, probably with a few tweaks. You know, the 12v11 is obviously causing a lot of discussion. See how that unfolds over the next 2-3 weeks. And listen, the FRC have said from the start they're open to change. So but generally I think it's been hugely positive for the game. We're seeing a much quicker game, more exciting game, and hopefully a lot more to come.
Yeah, by this weekend's end we'll have about 100 games played, and we'll get that, I'd say, after round 3. That'll come clear. But for tonight's game, there's a stiff breeze blowing down towards the town end. Kerry 2025, what have you made of them so far, Colm?
They had a good win in Derry. They maybe stole it a little bit up in Derry in the first game.
High scoring?
Yeah, I was in Killarney last week, just watched them against Donegal. I think Donegal were certainly the better team. Kerry were a little bit flat, so I expect a reaction tonight. Conditions are good here in Tralee, the pitch is excellent. And I'm sure Jack O'Connor will be looking forward to much improved. I think they lacked a bit of intensity last week, which is unusual for Kerry in home league games, but I would expect them to respond today, and there's great opportunity for some new players.
Yeah, Micheál Burns in the starting lineup and David Clifford's on the bench. We'll hear more from Marty about that later on. Kieran, the Dubs, a lot of new faces there too, a lot of stalwarts gone from the squad.
Yeah, I suppose that's the challenge, Damien, taking so many big leaders out of that dressing room at the end of the year. So, like, Dessie Farrell didn't probably experiment that much last year, so this is an opportunity for guys to step up, and we're seeing, you know, the likes of Theo Clancy in full back, Greg McEnany wing back, Alex Gavin, it seems to be in tonight, Killian McGuinness is injured, so there's a lot of new names coming in on O'Donnell, the full forward line, and it takes time, you know, probably, yeah, and particularly that weakness around midfield. Dublin have to, like, Brian Howard's probably their only maybe traditional fielder of the ball, and the way the game has changed. So it's a real experimental time for Dublin to try find a few players over the next few weeks.
We've seen Theo Clancy with his club and Greg McEnany with his college. They've done really well. Colm, for you in the Kerry lineup, who are you looking at tonight for big performances?
I suppose there's a couple of players you're looking to, but for me, Mike Breen coming in the centre back is a very interesting one for Kerry.
What does he bring to that role?
Well, he's been on the squad 4 or 5 years. He's been savaged by injury, Damien, to be honest. So to get him back playing, it's great to see him out there and trying to nail down the centre back spot. I suppose Tyg Morley has done that the last few years, but this is a big opportunity for Mike. He's a fine player. I loved when he came on the scene, but can he get back to those levels?
And Tyke Morley's a great communicator, and Mike Breen, has he got the athleticism, the physicality for that position as well, Colin?
Well, he certainly has had it before. Can he stay fit? And he's had hamstring injuries, but he has all the attributes to being a very, very good player. And tonight will be a great test for him.
Conor Geaney's in great form.
He is, and he's probably been one of the foreign players in club football in Kerry for the last 4 or 5 years. He had a great day above in Derry the first day out as well, and he's really nailing down a corner forward spot, and he has all the skills. He's a ruthless finisher, and I think we'll see plenty from him tonight.
Kieran, one of the stalwarts that stayed around this year was Stephen Cluxton. We won't see him maybe for a few more rounds yet, but that reserve goalkeeper spot, or the number 1 spot, whatever way you want to look at it, that's probably up for grabs. And you have Gavin Sheridan and Evan Comfort, who starts tonight. And what's the difference between those two? We've seen Evan a lot more in recent seasons.
Yeah, well, Evan's been out injured, and obviously, you know, they tried Gavin Sheridan the last couple of games, and like he was coming forward, but wasn't adding much purpose really to the game plan. Evan has been unlucky with injuries. I don't think we're going to see Stephen if that's 12-11 continues, to be honest. I think let's be realistic about that in terms of the use of the goalkeeper. So it's a big night, Evan out injured. Be interesting to see how Dublin utilise him tonight. Does he come out and support the Dublin attack in that 12-11?
And Sean Bugler at number 11, impressing you?
Yeah, well, Sean was brilliant against Mayo, and like it's now time for Sean really to step up as a leader in that forward line. Kieran Kilkenny has also been excellent, but he kicked 7 points against Mayo, and you know, and it was influential against Donegal. He's a big Dublin player.
Okay, that's the scene set. We've a raft of changes on the team selection, so let's hear more about those from Marty Morrissey, who's alongside Eamon Fitzmaurice in the commentary box.
Thank you very much, Damien. You wouldn't like to see my notes. There's arrows going in all sorts of directions, but this is the Kerry team that will start tonight here in Tralee. There are 2 O'Connors in the middle of the field, David and Joe, who are not related. Both are Tralee boys, but play with different clubs here in the town, Naguil and Austin Stacks. Now you can take a look at the full forward line. There are 2 Gainies starting, Conor and Paul, and they are, of course, first cousins. While Micheál Burns is a late change, and he starts at top of the left. On the bench for the first time this season is number 21, David Clifford. All in the kingdom and nationwide believe the new rules will suit him. So we might see him in action and see if that's true. Others waiting for their chance tonight include Killian Spillane, who will wear number 15, Dylan Casey and Keith Evans. Goalkeeper, as Damien mentioned there for Dublin tonight, is Evan Comerford. Theo Clancy and Cian Murphy are the key figures at full and centre back, with quality in the wings in the shape and form of Brian Howard and Greg McEnany. It'll be interesting to see how the Dublin midfield with Tom Lahif and Alex Gavin copes with the 2 O'Connors in the Kingdom of Kerry. Sean Bugler has been in great form at centre forward, while former Dublin hurling captain Owen O'Donnell gets another opportunity to impress. The third late change in the Dublin side sees Sean Lowry start, and he will wear number 24 at top of the left. Defenders Lee Gannon and forward Larkin O'Dell are the best known on the Dublin panel tonight, but it's a real opportunity for new emerging talent like Luke Brannock, Ethan Dunn and Owen O'Connor Flanagan. Huge night here in Tralee, and all roads were leading to this great town in County Kerry in the Kingdom, and there's a sellout crowd. Capacity is about 12,000, but they were gathering here since around 6 o'clock, and even before there was a queue outside as everybody looks forward to Dublin against Kerry. Full house signs going up as I was coming in much earlier today. And Eamon Fitzmaurice joins me. There's always a buzz about Dublin Kerry.
There is, Marty, absolutely. There's a great buzz around the place, great buzz around the town today. These games always take on a life of their own because of the rivalry that exists between the counties, and we're all looking forward to the game now at this stage.
And tonight,
we remember Paddy Cullen.
The people of Kerry and watching on television will remember Paddy Cullen, former Dublin goalkeeper and manager, who enjoyed a hugely successful sporting career. And during a glittering career, Paddy won 3 All-Irelands, 6 Leinsters, 4 All-Stars, 2 National Football Leagues, as well as winning Leinster National League titles as Dublin manager. We also remember Con Clark, former chairman of the Dublin County Board. Con from the O'Toole's Club was involved in Dublin GA, but with the club and the county board for more than 50 years, serving as chairman of the board from 1990 to 92. And indeed, we also offer our condolences to David Goldrick and to David's family. David is the line umpire for today's match, and we offer our condolences on the recent passing of his father, Benny. And Jeremiah Wallace, brother of ground steward Joe Wallace from Ardfert in County Kerry, has also passed away. On behalf of everybody working here tonight, the team that's here on the Saturday game, and indeed everybody in the RT Sports Department, we pass on our deepest sympathies to the families and friends and relatives of all the people I mentioned. May they rest in peace.
Kerry GA officers, condolences from family, friends, all those stuff, and Dublin GA. Kerry G also offers his condolences to David Coldrick and to David's family. David is line number for today's match, and we offer condolences on the recent passing of his father, Benny. Kerry J also offers his condolences to our long-term dressing room steward here on the sad loss of his brother Jeremiah. So we pass our condolences to Joe Wallace and Joe's family. Ariyesh Degro, the Hamlet Education.
And now, here in Austin Park, Tralee, on an evening that was lovely and calm much earlier, but there is now quite a strong wind blowing from left to right as we'll be looking at down towards the town end, as we pause for Aran Naveen, our national anthem.
Okay, the Fontaine Chancellor, Aran Naveen, sung by Noel Wilson and Shane Murphy of Oracle. Shane Murphy, I thought we got given, reimbursable, our team only cool, free voices, chanted our shame share faster, the offer, been here or not in fall, and not to him survive again, here come the smooth sail, on the square, free love of
The picture tells the story. It's Austin Park, Tralee, on this weekend of where we pass on our best wishes to Valentine's, to all our Valentines. And I know it's Valentine's weekend, but there isn't much love between Dublin and Kerry. There's a huge amount of respect. The man in charge is Liam Devaney from County Mayo, and Dublin coming over towards our side here, and the Kerry dugout as well, as it looks like Kerry will be playing from left to right as we look at it here. So Kerry playing with wind advantage in the opening half, which is also very important. Brian Howard has already moved into that midfield area wearing number 5, and they're going to swap around the two other midfielders. You can see Joe O'Connor going over to the stand side, and Tom Lahiff coming over towards us. The scene is set. Both teams have already won and lost in the Allianz Football League season of 2025. Brian Howard gathering the throw in, and away we go. Cian Murphy. Could play him anywhere, really, to be honest with you. Kieran Kilkenny over towards Kevin Lahiff, now joining his brother on the Dublin team. Started this Allianz League rather well. Kerry retreat inside their own 40-metre line. Quick hands for Sean Bugler. Opportunity perhaps for Brian Howard. Interesting off-camera, Evan Comerford has come all the way just outside the Kerry 45-metre line. His role will be important. There he is. Now, what's he going to do? This 11 versus 12 is certainly a talking point, and the goalkeepers need to play a big role. Certainly when you think of the greatest use of it, would be Niall Morgan of Tyrone that does it to great effect, and others will have to step up to the plate. Meanwhile, it's still Owen O'Donnell getting a touch. Quick hands again. Kerry defending. They stick to their task. Greg McEnany back from Sigerson duty. Dublin retain the possession. Kieran Kilkenny. Sean Bugler. Perhaps over elaboration. As Kieran Kilkenny, several opportunities to take a score. They bring it back outside again to Evan Comerford. He looks around, he'll go for the crossfield ball. Cian Murphy from the Thomas Davis Club in Tala, Southside Dublin. Brian Howard is available. It's been all Dublin in the opening 1 minute and 46 seconds. Not a Kerryman has touched the ball as of yet, really. There's an opportunity here for Sean Bugler. Again, they go inside. Bugler's available. Taking a shot at the end of it all. Comes back off the post. It's still alive and still there. And Kerry finally get their hands on the ball after 2 minutes and 4 seconds. And good work by Jimmy O'Connor.
Yeah, you can see the strength of the wind there, Marty. 2-point effort wasn't on for Dublin. They kept working it over and back. Eventually they pulled the trigger back off the post, and Kerry have a chance to go forward quickly now.
Joe O'Connor goes for the long ball up towards Paul Ganey. Using the ball to good effect, and this is a great play by Kerry. Coming in on the end line, it's fisted over the bar. Good score. Micheál Burns, who played very well for Dr. Crooks, not alone in the Kerry Championship, but indeed in the Munster Club campaign, all the way to the All-Ireland semi-final against Irigul Kieran.
Yeah, excellent from Micheál Burns. A lot of credit to Joe O'Connor in the first place. He put a good 40-50 yard ball inside to Paul Ganey. It was one inside. They worked it to Micheál Burns. Good score from Kerry. Shows the value of kicking it forward when you can, Marty.
Evan Comerford's kick out is caught by the breeze, and it is quite strong, favouring Kerry in this opening half. Away goes Conor Ganey to the cousin Paul. Great combination football. Kerryman is on the ground, and Dublin come away with it. Good use of solo and goal. And go, no hanging about. As gathering it is the right half back. That's Brian Howard. Great pressure by Kerry. Just getting a little toe poke. They keep chasing and harassing. Good ball over towards Micheál Burns again. Pushed away on this occasion. Referee doesn't see it as a push. Comes back for his Darragh line. Kerry, once they got their hands on the ball, they certainly are playing it with great pace and intensity. Jimmy O'Connor to his midfield partner, Joe O'Connor. Coming forward from centre half back is Mike Breen. Graham O'Sullivan curling it superbly. That's a beautiful point. Just judged it perfectly. The drummer Pierce's man from South Kerry.
Yeah, it came from a turnover, Marty. In fairness to Kerry, they stayed well pressed up. They put on ferocious pressure in Dublin, lost it, won it back again. It eventually ended with Graham O'Sullivan. Both teams are showing massive urgency on the ball. It's great to see. Liam Devaney's letting it go as well. A bit of physicality. No hard to see that as well.
Ball gathered by Joe O'Connor from Evan Comerford's kick out. Free to the Kerry man. Solo and go again. Goes long. Testing out the Dublin defence. Almost got it. Picked up on this occasion by Sean McMahon. Dublin find themselves under a little bit of pressure against the strong wind. They'll want to control it, and they do now with Kevin Lahiff laying it off. That's Dublin with Kieran Kilkenny passing the Kerry 65-metre line. As Eamon said, it started with great intensity and speed, which is wonderful to see. Brian Howard. Sean Bugler. Bringing Evan Comerford into the game. He's set by injuries over the last number of seasons. It's good to see him back in action. Keane Murphy trying to draw out the Kerry defence. Looking around to see who again is available. And once more it's Evan Comerford. Confident on the ball. Long way from home.
I'm surprised Kerry are sitting so deep here, Marty, and they're as passive as they are. I know Evan Comerford's up, but it's such a strong wind, it's going to be hard to shoot from outside against it. Kerry have the wind. We know the strength of it. They're going to have to make it count, and we've seen that even in games today. There's been big swings in the second half of games, so there's a bit of an onus on them to push out.
Great defending by Jimmy O'Connor. Played well last weekend in Fitzgerald Stadium, Killarney, scoring a crucial goal that almost brought Kerry back into the match against Donegal. Doing the hard work, the grafting there. He now has to go forward as Kerry with Mike Breen from Beaufort. Gets it down towards Paul Ganey. Little shimmy left and right. Comes the shot, and that is gone wrong side of the goalpost and wide.
Just in terms of the way the two teams are setting up, Marty, Kerry are keeping Paul Ganey, Conor Gary, Micheál Burns as their three up. And at the other side, Lowry, Owen O'Donnell and Niall Scully are staying up there for Dublin to give them that bit of shape.
Liam Devaney is telling the goalkeeper he wanted to make sure just to hold matters for a moment until he checked everything. He's happy now. Again, Evan Comerford has a great kick of a ball, but it just shows you the strength of the breeze in this first half. Conor Gainey laying it off to Darragh Lynn. Darragh Line. Opportunity! But the opportunity is wasted. Should have been, could have been a goal for Joe O'Connor.
Yeah, great driving run from Joe O'Connor in first place. Conor Gainey won his second good break outside. Came in, Paddy Clifford was square, I think, Marty. He was all on his own inside. If he just slipped it across, he was there. But Joe went for it and pulled it the wrong side of the post.
Looks like Dylan Casey could be introduced momentarily. Austin Stacksman captained his team to the Kerry County title a few seasons back.
Yeah.
UCC.
Referees have been given a directive, Marty, that you have 20 seconds to take that kick out, and if you haven't it kicked, it's a free in. The hot ball is gone, so it's a free in. So Evan Comerford had delayed. I'd say he got a warning already. It's free in now. So to cut out that messing, particularly when you're against the wind, you're trying to slow it down.
Lesson learned, no doubt, for Evan Comerford, as Sean O'Shea takes the gift of a free and a point.
Well, it's like everything, it won't happen again, Marty. He's after costing his team a point there.
Looks like Tom O'Sullivan is the player that's making way. It is Tom. There with Cian O'Neill, former Kildare manager. Now his place taken by Dylan Casey. Remember, this is Dylan Casey's home pitch. Austin Stack Park. As the ball is taken quickly this time by Evan Comerford. Loose ball picked up by Kieran Kilkenny. Puts it into the centre towards Greg McEnany. Over towards Cian Murphy. Murphy is passing the Kerry 45-metre line. Laying it back for Brian Howard. Over towards Tom Lahiff. Coming towards for Kieran Kilkenny. As Dublin counter-attack, they now find themselves trailing by 3 points, having dominated the first 2 minutes. But Kerry do have a very strong wind to their backs in this opening half. Dublin slowing it down against the wind deliberately. Looking around for support is Sean Bugler. Good pressure by Kerry, but getting inside is Owen O'Donnell. He's taken down, and that's going to be a free in. And there'll be a lesson there for Dessie Farrell to run at this Kerry defence, and you'll force them into providing sandwiches like this, and unnecessarily in some ways, because there was plenty of them there.
Exactly, Marty, that was the point. There was no need to lunge in. The feeling that's why Owen O'Donnell's being played inside there as a kind of a target man in the first place, and then that he can go at his man when he gets the ball, as he did with Jason Foley there. Dubs are still slow, even when Kieran Kilkenny won that break, to shift the ball inside quicker, but they'll probably do it in the second half when they're playing with that breeze.
Be interesting to see if they do, Eamon, because certainly when Kieran Kilkenny gets the ball around the midfield 45-metre line, he's inclined to do the old way of doing it, going laterally. Meanwhile, live on your TV screens, it is Kerry on the attack with Paddy Clifford. Giving it to centre-half forward Sean O'Shea. They combine beautifully. They finish superbly.
It's two, Marty. He was just outside when he kicked it, so a two-pointer.
5 points for Kerry, 1 for Dublin.
Kerry are doing well in the breaking ball in the middle of the field. Micheál Burns won a good break there. Signs on Evan Comerford got away a short one, but if you were Jack O'Connor, you'd like to keep the momentum up, and you'd want to see them getting away those short ones.
Brian Howard starts the move, and Dublin build from the back again. Kerry retreat into their own half of the field, bar the 3 forwards up front. Davy Byrne. Over towards Kevin Lahif scored a goal and 2 points in his debut against Mayo. Good pressure by Kerry. Kevin Lahif is there again to Kieran Kilkenny, looking around to see who's available. Evan Comerford is a long way away. Uses Greg McEnany instead. Sean Bugler comes down the far wing. Evan Comerford lends his assistance. Brian Howard about to cross the Kerry 45-metre line. Davy Byrne, good to see him back in the Dublin jersey again. Over far is Kieran Kilkenny. He's on that 40-metre arc line, giving it into the centre. Brian Howard. Greg McEnany. Cian Murphy. Sean Bugler. Back again to Evan Comerford. Dublin finding it difficult to break down this Kerry defence. Davy Byrne once more. Evan Comerford.
They're starting trying to open up space around the centre of the D now, Marty. They've pulled a lot of bodies inside to try and create a space out here for possibly a player to go past their man and create an overlap.
Slow, methodical build-up by Dublin. But remember, they are playing against a pretty strong wind in this first half, and perhaps happy enough to keep the retention of the ball. Evan Comerford, one of 3 late changes on this Dublin team, getting his chance to produce what will be enough to impress Dessie Farrell. Sean Bugler. Brian Howard to Davy Byrne. Looked just momentarily at the goalpost. Gives it to Kieran Kilkenny. Kerry not lunging in, to their credit. Dublin maintaining the possession. Brian Howard under a bit of pressure. Gives and gets the return. Ball into the centre. Opportunity for Kieran Kilkenny. And that ball at the end of it all is left and wide.
Yeah, they set it up well, Marty. They just kept possession. They were patient. They pushed Kerry back, and then Kilkenny eventually got the shot, but he pulled it wide.
Shane Ryan going across to get rid of the second ball. Interesting statistics here for you. 77% possession for Dublin. And they had the ball for 3 minutes and 3 seconds before the ball ultimately went wide. Kick out from Shane Ryan. Well gathered by Diarmuid O'Connor. He's having a good league campaign. I know this is only the 3rd game, but he is playing well. Jamie and Burke laying it off for us. Graham O'Sullivan. Sean O'Shea has Bruno Biogliac on his shoulder. Thought about having a go from outside the 40-metre arc. Was he outside or was he inside? I thought he was outside. He is, yes, the umpire. The umpire is used to raising the white flag. He's now gone for the orange flag.
Yeah, great score from Brian there, Marty. Big party, an element he added to his game last season, and he's continuing on this season. Great score.
Away goes Paddy Clifford. Really played well against Donegal. Was masterful. Testing out the Dublin defence. Giving it back to Conor Gainey. Gainey looking around. Looking for an angle. Making an angle. And the idea was really, really good. He was outside the 40-metre arc, but it needed to go far more towards the left-hand post rather than the near one.
Yeah, exactly. Liam Devaney gave his umpires a touch there, Marty. He wants the balls kept off the pitch because there was a second ball in the pitch there again. He had to kick it off himself. So there's action everywhere.
Difficult kick-outs considering, and it's a Kerry possession. Evan Comerford is backtracking, and this is flying between the posts. And that's going to be a 1-pointer for Kerry. Micheál Burns getting his 2nd point of the match.
Yeah, Mihal's second score. He's continuing with the form he showed with Dr. Crokes throughout the season. Again, Conor Ganey's under that kick-out winning breaks, Marty. It isn't something he'd have been noted for. He's a corner forward and a finisher, but he's won 3 great breaks. And as you can see, when you lose your kick-out on your own kick-out, you're pretty open. There's Conor again.
Doing well under the high ball. Giving it back for his Diarmuid O'Connor. Thumping it in high. Wind assisted. It's a great ball to Paul Ganey. Given the mark. And the referee had blown his whistle. He's given the free to Paul Ganey. But there is the long ball. Coming perhaps back into the popularity stakes in Gaelic football once more.
Yeah, there was an advance mark there, Marty. It was a perfect example of a great ball inside from Diarmuid O'Connor. Paul Ganey judged it perfectly, as he usually does. He played on, went for the goal, and it was brought back. It was a superb ball inside, and great to see that bit of kicking. And Kerry have done a bit of it in the final third today, and it's paying off for them, so good to see it.
17 and a half minutes gone in the first half. Kerry, with the win behind them, now leading by 8 points. And Evan Comerford struggling to find a mark in the middle of the field, to try and find a colleague in the middle of the field. Gets it this time. Niall Scully spraying the ball over. Really pushing it back, but it works out all right. Advantage over, you might have heard in the background, but it was still a foul at the end of the day on the Dublin player. Sean Lowry being fouled. Kieran Kilkenny. Alex Gavin getting a touch. Back to Evan Comerford again. Kieran Kilkenny waiting for the run. Alex Gavin provides that. Brian Howard.
If Evan Comerford wants to make the 12v11 count, Marty, he probably has to push further forward and become one of the forwards rather than just being the pivot out there. That's fine for keeping possession, as they did. You mentioned the 3-minute spell the last time, but it's not in terms of trying to create overlaps and shots for a team that are 8 points down.
He seems to be caught between the 45 and 65 and not going beyond it. Opportunity here for Sean Bugler. Good play, Dublin. Opportunity coming. The goalkeeper's underneath, and that's going to be a free out for Shane Ryan, who solos and goals.
Yeah.
Kerry counter-attack as quickly as they can.
Great hands from Dublin, the first place to open up the chance, but they didn't finish it, and Kerry have a chance to move again now. The 3-up shape obviously gives them the chance to kick if they want to, as they did there, and now this should open up further in again.
The ball inside, but it's cut out this time. Dublin back there. Good defending.
Yeah,
by the visitors.
Paul Ganey undercooked the kick there, Marty. Shawnee Shea was gone inside, and he was in a dangerous position if he got the kick past right. Idea was right, though.
Yeah. Kieran Kilkenny. Kevin Lahif. Back for us, Greg McEnany. Dublin, by the way, haven't scored now for 10 minutes. They've had the possession, but this is where they're being cut out. A little bit of fear of not going forward more incisively, and as Eamon said a moment ago, bringing this man into the picture. In other words, from a Dublin perspective, it would probably be advantageous if he passed the Kerry 45-metre line.
You would think so, yeah. If he wants to, like I said, if you want to contribute attacking-wise as that extra player, you have to get forward. Sitting back, rotating possession, you know, has a limited effect, as they're doing here. It's like they've practiced it this week, Marty, and they're anxious to use it.
But they're gaining no ground with it, Eamon.
No.
Davy Byrne again. Playing outside the 40-metre arc. Kieran Kilkenny. Kerry defending is impressive. Well picked up by Owen O'Donnell, and he lashes that over the crossbar. But Dublin finding it very difficult to get through this Kerry defence. I know there's a win factor here, but I think they need to be a little bit more adventurous.
To be fair to O'Donnell, he's probably ploughing a lone furrow up there. He's quite direct when he gets the ball in hand, Martin. He's causing trouble. Chance for Dublin here again.
Looked like Sean Bugler had kept it in, but I think he was fouled. I think that's why he got the free. So solo and goal is allowed. Tom Laheath leading it off. There's Sean Bugler's available. This is Greg McEnany. And again, Dublin will be methodical here. Sean Bugler. Over towards Tom Laheath. Keane Murphy.
There's flares and everything coming in now, Marty, but the wind is so strong it's dispelling the smoke anyway.
Absolutely. Here comes Sean Bugler, but the pass goes behind him rather than in front. So Kerry have it under control. Good work again by Dermot O'Connor in the McGrail Cup.
He's putting in a massive shift, Marty, defensively more so than attacking-wise.
The idea was spot on, but it was well intercepted by Alex Gavin. Read the situation rather well. Kerry dealing with the Dublin attack rather easily, and players like Sean O'Shea and Dermot O'Connor are certainly helping out their defence when required.
Good from Dublin there again, Marty. Just the point of not being able to go back to the keeper in your own half, and there is reward to press up like that and tackle hard, disciplined. Unfortunately, from their perspective, they fouled there, but there is definitely incentive to go after teams in their own half.
Dermot O'Connor. Giving the ball and getting it back. Dublin now are well retreated inside their own half, so Kerry will have to try and retain the possession, which they failed to do so. Nicely picked up by Niall Scully. All-star footballer back 5 years ago, Greg McEnany.
It's in that point there now, Marty, when Greg McEnany got the ball. First of all, there was very little movement inside for him to be able to hit a 20-30 yard ball inside to the full forward line when there were 1-1.
Niall Scully got the ball first, Kieran Kilkenny past the 20 and heading towards the 13. Scully is available again, and Dublin will recycle it. This is a better ball over towards Greg McEnany. Paddy Clifford staying goal side. This ball is dropping in, and that ball is gone just over the crossbar. Good score by Greg McEnany.
Yeah, Dublin be quite happy with this phase, Marty. Kerry have been untidy. They've kicked away a few balls. Darragh Lyne dropped the ball there from being in a great position. They just need to tidy it up again now and get going between now and half-time.
Long kick out by Shane Ryan. Joe O'Connor won himself a fray. Solos and goes. Getting it down for us, Conor Gainey. Scored 2 goals and 2 points against Derry in the opening match, and 3 points last weekend against Donegal. Dermot O'Connor, 1 minute he's defending on his goal line or end line, then he's up trying for scores. The ball is outside, the kick is magnificent, and that is a 2-pointer for Kerry by Sean O'Shea.
Yeah, they worked it very well. Got it. Brian Biogley was just inside the arc, got it back out to Sean O'Shea, who was in a good position. He'll nail them all day when he's given space like that.
Kick out from Evan Comerford. Punched away by Dermot O'Connor. Gathered by Theo Clancy. Ends up with Sean Bugler, who's in Oliver Plunkett's. Looking around to see who is immediately available. Kilmacud Crooks man Theo Clancy, another one of the Dublin players that was involved in the Sigerson Cup campaign, indeed the Sigerson final. Kieran Kilkenny. Back fires Evan Comerford. Brian Howard. Niall Scully back to Howard again. Little 1-2 with Scully. Ends up with Kieran Kilkenny. Kevin Lahiff giving it back again towards the brother. Tom. Brian Howard. Sean Bugler. And that ball is curling in the wind, left and wide.
Yeah, they set it up well, Marty, but in the end pulled it wide. Both teams as well tonight, Marty, complimented, and it was the same in the first half of the Derry-Galway game that I saw. There's no three-up breaches, as teams are getting used to that. They're not breaching the line anymore.
Joe O'Connor getting the ball in towards Paul Ganey. Good vision by Ganey. Great opportunity for Kerry. Past the 20-13. Hitting it in off the post. Second real goal-scoring opportunity for Kerry. And the two Dublin players collided. And the referee, Liam Devaney, is right to blow the whistle as medical attention for the Dublin keeper and defender.
Yeah, clock has stopped there now, Marty, obviously, for that. It's great set up in the first place from good ball inside from Joe O'Connor, and then a good ball inside again from Paul Ganey. Hopefully the two lads are all right. That was Dara Lyne coming in. I'd say it's probably Sean McMahon that's down with Evan Comerford.
Evan Comerford, yeah.
I know it's Tom Lahiff.
No, it's Tom Lahiff.
Yeah.
The last thing Evan Comerford wants to do is pick up another injury after being out for so long. And Tessie Farrell will want him available, as well as the goalkeeping in the Dublin side. Will Stephen Cluxton return? Will it be Gavin Sheridan, or indeed will it be this man, Evan Comerford, who will gain the number 1 jersey? Thankfully, both himself and Tom Lahiff are fine and well. Continue on. Greg McEnany. Not a good ball to Theo Clancy. Brian Howard comes in. Good work again by Kerry.
Superb from Joe O'Connor, Marty. Brilliant turnover.
Pass down the wing from the Kerry man was just a little bit off.
Yeah, they're trying to do the right thing. The wind is probably a factor, but there's been a couple of those kicks that just need to be a small bit more measured. But going back to the last move again, Joe O'Connor put a great ball inside. Paul Ganey put a great ball inside to Dara Lyne. Kerry didn't get a score off it, but they've created a couple of goal chances by being willing to kick the ball.
Kieran Kilkenny gives the ball and gathers it back. Davy Byrne from Nave Olafs and Sandyford in Dublin. Niall Scully. Not a great pass, I must say. And Kerry try to muscle in and try and gather the possession fair and square. Unfairly in the view of the referee. Good work by Sean McMahon. Sean Bugler is on the overlap. Here comes Bugler, and he hits it very high, but he also hits it wide. Again, there was just a moment when there was a goal-scoring opportunity.
Yeah, they've missed a few. Sean Bugler's missed a few, which isn't like him. Generally, he's very accurate. But the danger of the Dubs when they come at pace is visible there, Marty. The difference there was they were moving at pace rather than being static.
Long ball, works out well. Conor Ganey. Great defending by the Dublin man, and he still couldn't do anything to prevent Ganey getting his points. Good work by Greg McEnany initially, but Conor Ganey kept his composure and kicked an absolute beauty.
Yeah, great football, Marty. Great ball inside. Conor Ganey 1-on-1 with Greg McEnany. Greg McEnany couldn't have done much more. He stood him up, forced Conor to take the point, and Conor took a good score. But great football all round from both sides.
The ball just about reaching the line there for Theo Clancy to gather it. Good work by Joe O'Connor. I was in Killarney last weekend, Eamon, and I have to say I think the work ethic has improved from a Kerry perspective.
You can see it was chatted about this week, Marty. There's a visible difference in their attacking. and tackling in particular, which is the way you can measure it. Good from the Dubs there as well as they put on heat.
Great pressure by Dublin. Dermot Burke, another one of the Naguel boys on the team, comes away with it. Sean O'Shea. Damien Burke has just gone off camera there, just out of the picture. Still makes himself available, but it goes instead to Paddy Clifford. Brina Björk has already scored from this more or less position, floating it in high. Here comes Evan Comerford. Opportunity for Paul Gainey. Goal for Kerry. And the long ball strategy does pay off.
Yeah.
Brina Björk dropping this in. Evan Comerford coming a long way out. Punched it forward. Gainey, composed, accurate, superb.
I think, to be fair to Brian, he was going for another two-pointer, Marty, and that's the thing with the two-pointers. When they drop short, they can cause havoc. Micheál Byrne's challenge, Paul Gainey was alive to it, as he always is, and back of the net. Big goal for Kerry, just coming up to half-time now.
That's a pretty intimidating scoreline if you happen to be from Dublin. 1 goal and 12 points for Kerry, 3 points for Dublin, heading towards the half-time break. But remember, Dublin will have a huge wind advantage in the second half, with the pressure being forced on the Dublin side here when they have possession. Has to be admired if you're looking at that Kerry setup. But here come Dublin now. Sean Bugler.
It'll be interesting to see Dublin the second half, Marty. Will they be as willing to be as direct as Kerry have been? Because it seems to be in their DNA to play this type of possession-based football. So will they be more direct? For that you need kickers, and you also need fellas showing inside. So we'll see. It'll be telling in the second half.
Kieran Kilkenny. Not one of his best passes. Jason Foley went down on the ball bravely, and off camera he's getting up.
Evan Comerford.
Solo and goal works well. Paddy Clifford left it behind him momentarily. Fully recovered. About to be taken down.
Ooh, could be
By
black.
Sean Bugler.
Unlike Paddy to make a skill mistake there, because there was a serious break on. Not sure if it was a deliberate pull down by Sean Bugler.
Could have been a black card for the centre half forward. The referee is not going near him. So Kerry retained the possession.
That's a breach now. Oh, it's not, sorry, no, there's still 3 of them. I thought Brian was the last man, but there's still 3 Kerry lads back. Like I said, I've been impressed with all the teams I've seen today on that took a couple of weeks to get hang of it, but they've all got the hang of it. They're not giving away those silly 2-point efforts a lot of the time.
Damien Burke acknowledging that his player in possession was a little bit hesitant, so he went towards him. Burke takes too many steps.
Shane Ryan is at slaughter now as well here, Marty, so he's the race to get back into position.
Shane Ryan is making his way. He's in your TV now as Dublin counter-attack. Good work by Sean McMahon. Can he keep going? Kerry have the situation under control now, or at least they should have. Greg McEnany. Kevin Lahiff. Brian Howard.
Dubs will be aware of the time here now as well, Marty. They'll know that there's less than a minute left.
Owen O'Donnell.
They'll try and hold on and generate a shot just before, so that Kerry won't get up the field again.
Sean Bugler. Kieran Kilkenny. Left, right, perhaps almost overcarried. Nice combination with Sean Bugler. Greg McEnany in front of the goalpost. Puts that over the bar for his second point of the match. Scored twice against Mayo, twice against Donegal, and he's now 2 points to his credit against Kerry.
Yeah, he's shown remarkable energy, Marty, for a fellow who's playing a Sigerson final during the week. He's up and down the field and putting in a big shift for the Dubs. They're not going to...
Paddy Clifford going long. But there goes the hooter. As Paul Gainey was fisting it away, but the only goal of the game so far has been scored by this man. And he's doing well, not just as a goal scorer, but indeed a marker up front. as the Kerry long ball strategy seems to be doing well. But remember, Dublin will have the wind to their backs in the second half. Always in Tralee, always with Dublin and Kerry. It's intriguing. It's Kerry 1 goal and 12 points, Dublin 4 points.
For more great shows, go to the RTE Player app on Sky.
This was a key moment of the first half. Brino Bugliuk, he went for a two-pointer, no doubt about it. It dropped short, and there was the arms of a grateful Paul Geaney. He is in goal-scoring form again this season. Did a little jink, and then with the right foot back at the net. It gives Kerry an 11-point lead at half-time at a breezy Austin Stack Park. And 8 different scores for Kerry as opposed to Dublin's 3, but it's a nice tempest that Dublin are playing into, particularly in the corner of the pitch where we're at as well. Just your reaction to that first half, Colm?
I think it was very impressive from Kerry, to be fair. Play with a lot more intensity, and I was a bit critical last week that they didn't play with any intensity, but it's certainly there today, and they've dominated around the middle of the field. And up front, they've been playing with such variety. It's been a pleasure to see it.
Variety. Do Dublin have that, Kieran? 48 passes at one stage before Kieran Kilkenny got a shot off. Is that because of the wind, or is it because of a certain system of play that they're currently...
Yeah, well, it is because of the wind, obviously. And obviously, with the new rules, Damien, Kerry are sitting deeper. They're defending that arc. They know that the 2 pointers aren't on, and it was pretty similar. Dublin are playing the possession game, and they came down this channel a lot of the time, and the wind was blown across the pitch, so the score wasn't on, and they just weren't punching enough holes, weren't getting right men on the ball, and they struggled. And Kerry were happy to soak up that pressure, but you could see then on the sideline, Cian O'Neill was putting a bit of pressure on them to push out a bit, and they definitely pushed out a bit in the last 10 minutes and put a bit of extra pressure on Dublin.
And Dublin have had 67% possession in the first half, so why then, Kieran, are Kerry ruling the skies at midfield?
They've been dominant midfield. Dermot O'Connor and Joe O'Connor have absolutely wiped Dublin. This was an area where Dublin struggled last week against Donegal, Damien. They need a presence. We don't have Brian Fenton anymore, and they're up against, I suppose, Brian Howard is in there against 2 experienced midfielders. And I think one of the key things with the new rules is when you are dominant in the middle of the park, the opposition defences are out of position, out of shape, and it's a real opportunity to get scores off. It's a quicker game when you win possession off that kick out. You can see the Dublin defence is out of shape. Kerry are on the front foot, and the ball comes to Micheál Burns over the bar. They've absolutely dominated that middle patch, and that's probably the concern going into that second half. While Dublin will have that wind that will help them, that 50-50 ball and that battle from the kick-outs, they're losing it. They have to step up in that area.
Because with the wind behind them, there will be opportunities for 2-pointers, Colm, as we saw from your home county in the first half.
Yeah, and it's something Kerry have. We know that they've been very, very good kickers down through the years, but they've moved it much quicker. That's the most impressive point for me today. They've moved. Paul Geaney, again, a player who plays with a lot of head-up football, and this was early on. Micheál Burns coming, punching over the bar. They picked holes quite easily, I thought, playing through Dublin. And again, they're patient in their build-up. They're always looking for the man over. This time it's Graham O'Sullivan drops it. Still it's time to come back inside and kick off his left boot. So they've thrown a lot at Dublin in the first half. The wind was a factor, but they're just moving it much quicker. They're going through the lines, and again they're always playing with their head up. That's the most important thing for me, Damien, that they're popping it around, and this time Sean O'Shea gets too much space from the Dublin defence, and you know from 40 yards he's going to kick it over. These 2-pointers, I suppose, are going to be a major factor in the game. I think teams are only getting used to it, and if you have your good kickers, your positioning of them is very important. Again, Kerry are patient in the build-up, but there's no pressure from Dublin, and it's Brino Bugliuk this time kicking it over the bar. So they've made the most of their wind advantage.
And it has left the home side 11 points ahead. Can Dublin claw their way back? Get the kettle on. We'll find out very, very soon.
For more great shows, go to the RTE Player app on Sky.
Very welcome back to Austin Stack Park. Dublin absolutely owned the ball in the first half, but are 11 points behind. With a big win behind them, can they kick more in the second half? Because Kerry have won 6 out of 7 kickouts. Dublin have only won 6 out of 13, and 9 out of 10 from play for Kerry. That's very, very impressive. And I suppose Owen O'Donnell is one guy that we could look at, Kieran, in terms of, we know him as a full-back in Dublin hurling team, but he's like a bull waiting to be unleashed in the Dublin football team. Have you been impressed with his little cameos, and what does he bring to this side?
Yeah, well, yeah, he's obviously quite direct, but I don't know whether playing him inside is the best role for him. Like he's definitely more effective tonight, but he's a big man that's coming out to try get on the ball. But you can see when he's going direct at defenders, he kind of caused Kerry a bit of trouble.
Could they have brought him out to midfield in an area that they're trying tonight?
That's definitely, they need more line breakers and guys out around that arc, and I think that's what we're seeing, that a lot of teams are putting their defenders or their non-shooters into that space to clog up that space, to create space outside the arc, and he's more maybe suited because he's coming out to get the ball and then he has to turn to come back in, and he might be a little bit more direct if he was coming facing the play.
I think it'll be interesting to see him playing with the wind in the second half. If he stays deep inside, he has given.
So would you keep him inside now with Bryant?
Certainly in the second half.
I'm not sure he has the pace to be a kind of a ball winner. I think he's a natural man to come onto the ball with that pace and power and strength that he has. But it will be interesting to see.
To be fair to him and Sean Bogler and Kilkenny, they're the ones that are looking at punching holes for Kerry.
They're looking to do something.
The rest of it has been fairly passive, and I understand the wind is a factor, but definitely he's been a shining light.
Speaking of wind being a factor, then let's just reflect back on Paul Geeney's goal, because the wind held that up, and on a night like this, you don't need Paul Geeney knocking around.
Yeah, and it's amazing thing, Gaelic football, when you put the ball in around the square, good things can happen, and it doesn't happen. In fairness to Breen Begley, in this occasion, I think he's going for a point. He floats it in. Micheál Burns is brave, goes up at Comerford, breaks perfectly for Paul Geeney. And if there's one player that you, on the Kerry side, that you wanted to fall to, it's Paul Geeney, because he shows great composure. He doesn't just lash at it, it's just a step back inside, and it's an easy goal for Kerry, and it just confirms their dominance in the first half. And it's probably, I think it might be too big of a lead for Dublin to come back.
Evan Comerford there, he was unlucky not to get purchased on that ball. It's a tough night to be a goalkeeper. What do you make of his performance in the first half?
Yeah, well, I think the lad's referencing it in commentary. He just looked a little bit unsure coming up that field, and I think, like we spoke about it before the game, Damien, it's an area that Dublin have to consider. If this 12-11 is going to persist, your keeper is hugely important. And they did use Gavin Sheridan in the first couple of games, and he was coming in real deep and trying to just pull an extra man with him. Evan is kind of sitting in that pocket, but I don't know whether he's a naturally comfortable outfield player either, whether he has that dynamic, So I think we have to, from a Dublin perspective, and I think it is going to be challenging for them, but Dublin are lacking a bit of quality. They've a lot of new players, introducing a lot of 7 or 8 kind of new players that don't have a whole lot of experience, and I think that's kind of shown tonight. They're going to have to be very efficient in the second half, and when they do get on the counter attack with that wind, try and move that ball quicker like Kerry did.
After his club campaign, can Peadar O'Cofaigh-Byrne make an impact in this Dublin midfield if he gets a chance to return in the next few weeks?
Well, I think he has to. I think you saw Ethan Dunn done very well. The Skerries guy in the Sigerson, Peter Kelly, you've Killian McGuinness is out injured. You've Peadar O'Cofaigh-Byrne. Dublin, it is an area where Dublin are going to have to replace Brian Fenton. It's very, very difficult to replace somebody of that status, but they need to trial guys, because because the game, Damien, has changed now with the kickouts and brought the fielding back in to that middle sector. It's the old traditional midfielder is beginning to emerge again, and we've seen that in the last couple of weeks. And you can see Dermot O'Connor's absolutely come into his own in the last 3 games for Kerry. He's a dominant midfielder. When you have somebody, a presence in that middle sector, it makes a massive difference.
Well, is tonight a perfect chance to ease David Clifford back in, or is it maybe not the night to do it?
I think they'll give him some minutes. I think he's got a little bit of work under his belt. He's maybe 15-20 minutes playing at home in front of his own crowd and playing the Dubs, I think it is. So they will use him, and there'll be opportunities for other players as well. But to be fair, on the Dublin one, I think it's going to be a long league for them in terms of finding players.
There's going to be difficult nights.
Yeah, there's going to be difficult nights.
This could be one of them.
And coming to Tralee, into Cauldron, a sell-out crowd, it's tough. It's tough for those new players, but this is where you grow up.
Okay, and they have not won here for a long time. We'll hand back to the gantry. Back to you, Marty and Eamon.
Thanks very much, Damien. And I was interested in all those statistics and indeed your conversation. 67% possession for Dublin, Eamon, and it took 21 minutes before they got their first score from play, and yet they're trailing by 11 points. And you're smiling from ear to ear, Eamon.
I'm smiling at your statistical abilities, Marty. Yeah, we'll see now in the second half. The wind is going to how Kerry handle playing against the wind, and are Dublin willing to kick with the breeze. So should be interesting, and we'll see.
We saw there on your TV screen, Lee Gannon is back on for Dublin, returning, I should say. And the player that's going off, though, is Greg McEnany, and that is a blow because I thought Greg was playing really well, so he must have picked up an injury. So where we go, second half. 2 league points are at stake here. Dublin, however, do have a strong wind advantage in the second half. Will they use it to the maximum effect like their opponents did earlier? So, just confirmation, as I told you, Lee Gannon is on there for Greg McEnany. As the ball comes in, and that ball is gone wide.
Yeah, the kick-outs now for Shane Ryan will be interesting in the second half. This is where the likes of Diarmuid O'Connor will be hugely important, Marty. Dublin only won 6 of 13 of their kick-outs in the first half, and they were under severe pressure as a result. They're going to come this way a lot of the time, so first one won by Joe O'Connor.
That was the 4th wide of the match, by the way, for Dublin as well, as Joe O'Connor goes forward with great pace, laying it off towards Darragh Lyne. Darragh Lyne heading towards the 20-metre line, has the pace and the confidence, giving the ball inside towards Paul Ganey. It took 3 dubs to stop him, but they did eventually. And Dublin have the ball coming out of their own goalmouth area. Ultimately, it ends up with Tom Lahiff. And away come right corner back Davy Byrne, Alex Gavin, Theo Clancy, to Gavin again. Great pressure by Kerry and their opponent's half of the field. And Micheál Burns just crossing the line there just slightly. Niall Scully floating it in high up towards full forward Owen O'Donnell, who's causing problems, the one man that is causing problems. Great block down Jason Foley, to his full credit, never gave up. Back for his centre forward Sean Bugler. Nice little dummy, ball inside, trying to get the ball inside at least, as the ball comes back out again. Alex Gavin, Brian Howard, Kieran Kilkenny, making an angle for himself, and he hits it beautifully. Good score for Kieran Kilkenny, his first in the match here in Tralee.
Yeah, Darren Daly is out instructing the Dubs now to stay really far up here as they are. We can see, get their hands up and try and put pressure on the Kerry kick out. Joe O'Connor won the last one. Darragh Lyne's over here with him in front of us. Marty, Diarmuid O'Connor are going for this one.
Well got it by Damien Burke. Getting a lot of action in this particular match. Over for his Darragh Lyne. Good work by Dublin, dispossessing the Killarney Legion man as the ball comes across to Kieran Kilkenny. Sean Bugler, Kevin Lahiff back outside the 40-metre arc. The shot, the kick, had the strength but didn't have the accuracy. Disappointment for Niall Scully.
Yeah, he put a good ball inside to Owen O'Donnell there, and he won it initially. Great block down from Jason Foley, but we're going to see more of that.
Kick out from Shane Ryan. Punch down to Sean Bugler. Evan Comerford. Back out again for us, Brian Howard. Kieran Kilkenny was available. Goes inside. Quick turn. And that is going between the posts and over the bar. Slowly. Very slowly, Dublin try to crawl themselves back into the game.
Yeah, because Kerry are having to push a bit further out this half. Marty defending the arc a bit further out because those scores are on. They're getting little pockets like that they could pop the pass into Tom Lahiff there.
sideline ball. The wind again is a major factor. You can see Derek O'Mahony he's the linesman there with his flag, and it is really blowing strenuously. Gives you an idea of what it's like on the pitch. Kieran Kilkenny. They've plenty of time.
It's 1-1 inside, Marty. It's gas. It's just not in the DNA to put it in there.
And particularly when you have the wind.
Absolutely.
And Owen O'Donnell is doing so well at the edge of the square. He's winning the dirty ball, the 50-50. Here comes Evan Comerford. Kieran Kilkenny. Over towards Sean Bugler. Brian Howard. The shot was from well out the field. But unfortunately, from a Dublin perspective, it's well wide as well.
Yeah, Lee Gannon. Yeah, he's always good for a couple of long shots, and it's good to see him back, Marty. He had a serious hamstring injury last year. It's good to see him back out on the pitch, but it'll obviously take him a bit of time to get up to speed.
Shane Ryan's kick out, and Kerry have the possession cleanly. Mike Breen just slipping at inopportune moment. Dylan Casey did well. Micheál Burns. Tralee and Killarney combining there. Austin Stacks and Dr. Crooks. Two great clubs in the kingdom. Over towards Graham O'Sullivan. Conor Ganey. To Sean O'Shea. Back first, Shane Ryan. Joe Connor is over this side. Paddy Clifford, you can see Joe there with number 9. Paddy saw a gap. He's cut out. Still Paddy Clifford. Darragh Lyne is playing well. Sean O'Shea is going for it. You know the swagger. You know the results. The balance was perfect. The shooting was excellent. Good score for Kerry.
They worked that very well, Marty. Paddy Clifford by Gonatke and Murphy sucked some of the Dublin players his way. The pass went over to Sean O'Shea. He was kicking from the right side, considering where the breeze is tonight for a right footer, and kicked a good score.
Brian Howard. 5 All-Irelands and 7 Leinsters in the collection already. The appetite for the football is still alive. Cian Murphy. Nice ball inside. An opportunity for Davy Byrne. Can he get a shot? Oh, great defending by Kerry. And they come away with it. With Darragh Lyne surviving the challenge. Referee says play on. Niall Scully slipping one through the main thoroughfare that's developing here. Great hands, Sean Bugler with the inside of the right boot. Puts that over the black spot between the posts and over the bar.
Outstanding chasing and harrying from the Dubs to turn that over from Darragh Lyne, get the ball back, and then force it up and get a score. See the chance here from Davy Byrne. Ooh, it's borderline foot block, Marty. Mike Breen, when he came in, did he put his foot towards it?
My initial thought that it was, to be honest, Eamon, but when you look at it again, you'd have maybe a bit of a doubt. We might get a chance again. That's Luke Brannock that's coming on. I know it's an old cliche, but it is a game of two halves now in Tralee. Niall Scully. Over towards Kieran Kilkenny. Lee Gannon is available and gathers it in the centre. It's back to Brian Howard again. Sean Bugler will come to his shoulder and provide an option. Scully. Lee Gannon. Niall Scully. Slipping one through. Owen O'Donnell again, running at the Kerry defence. I have to say, I like his football. Admire him as a great hurler, Owen O'Donnell, but I love the fact that he's willing to take on the Kerry defence.
Yeah, he's very direct. All right, Marty. I think this might be the first card of the night, Marty, which probably underlines again the pace of the game and the non-stop nature, and there isn't much time to be pulling and rooting and tearing. Great block down again from the Kerry backs, and we've seen a bit of that. throughout the night. This is the Owen O'Donnell chance again. Not sure who got it. The block down, was it Jason again, I'd say.
Luke Brannock is coming on for Dublin as we watch the replay here. And it looks like Sean Lowry.
I know the breeze is so strong, Marty, that the kickouts are all being directed over towards us here, but there's half the pitch out in front of the stand. You'd wonder, is there, this is a free obviously this time, but is there room to develop something out that way? Kick will be shorter, but it might be easier to place it.
Shane Ryan goes down the middle. There's Joe O'Connor. Paddy Clifford kind of, I think, changed his mind halfway through that effort. He's running into a cul-de-sac here and he overcarries. There's an extra bit of descent as well. So the freight is from around here. Niall Scully on the 45-metre line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the refs have to enforce those. They're stopping the clock here, but because the keeper's coming up to take the free, but they have to enforce the steps, Marty, and they have been consistent in that because the game is so fast. For the backs to have any chance to tackle the 4 steps, which was probably gone up to 6 and 7 and 8, has to be enforced, and the referees are consistent and they're doing well in it. Cathal O'Bealby is coming on here for Kerry as well. Coming on for Darline, I'd say.
So Evan Comerford going to take this down to the town goal. Breeze to his back. So Evan Comerford going to take this. Crucial moment overall because it'll get them a lot closer if he can nail it. It's dropping to the left and wide. Disappointment for Dublin.
Cathal O'Bealby is coming on here now, Marty, for Darline.
Cathal O'Bealby is coming on for Kerry. Darline is the player that's making way. Changes coming on both sides now at this stage. Dublin have had 4 two-pointer attempts and they're all gone wide, which will be disappointment. As Lee Gannon gets the two-pointer, spot on. Great score.
Great score from Lee Gannon, worked it well. He wasn't discouraged by his first miss, and he is always good for the long ones. This is the point again, Marty. Shane Ryan is coming over in front of us the whole time. Plenty of big bodies here. But is there anything to be said for someone making a run towards the stand and going that way?
And Dublin are populating this area as well, but they get the breaking ball. Well picked up by Brino Bergliak. And that's going to be a free for Kerry, just outside their own 65-metre line.
Yeah, great break from Brian, important break for Kerry. They needed to stem the tide. Diarmuid O'Connor's getting running repairs over here as well, Marty. He got a bang, I don't know, was it in the back earlier on? He looks like he might be changing his boots only. Brian has to go off for, I'd say, a head injury assessment after that bang, and sounds like Armin Heinrich that they're calling for Marty.
So Brino Bergliak is making way. Jack O'Connor making the changes as Kerry bring in another substitute. And that looks to me to be Armin Heinrich from Tralee here.
Dubs are matched up 1-1 all over the place now, Marty, to make this ball awkward, but Shawnee Shea showed hard for it and won it.
Shane Ryan heading towards the Dublin 45-metre line now. Confirmation of the substitution has just taken place. Brina Björklier gone off. Armour Heinrich is on. And it's Armour that has it right now. Shane Ryan. More or less doing what Evan Comerford was doing in the first half, maintaining a pivotal role between the 45 and 65 metre line. Paolo Björklier, back for Shane Ryan again. Claudie Clifford. Kerry just happy to retain the possession now. Shawnee O'Shea. Micheál Burns. No ground gained. Plenty of space for Shane Ryan to run into. Paolo Björklier again. Heinrich to Clifford. To Shawnee O'Shea. Thought about for a moment of having a go. Paul Gainey did well under severe pressure to get the ball back for Sean O'Shea.
Once this bit of play finishes, Marty, we'll probably get the biggest cheer tonight. David Clifford is stripping off and getting ready to come on.
Mike Breen. Back for Shane Ryan. Inside the 40-metre arc, Shawnee O'Shea. Shane Ryan again, Claudie Clifford. Sean O'Shea. Taking too many steps is Mikey Burns. Kerry protest. Dublin move the ball quickly. Has to be a free, and the free is now taken.
Yeah, Liam Devaney's all over it, Marty. He's very sharp. It was brought up 50 metres. Sean Bugler tried to go with a solo and go after bringing it up. You can't. It has to be a free kick once it's been advanced. If they wanted a solo and go, they had to do it at the start and just not take the 50-metre advancement.
Kieran Kilkenny. Cian Murphy. Switching play over towards Brian Howard. Flicking the ball inside. As Dublin chase scores now. That wasn't according to the plan. Davy Byrne unable to control it. For Jack O'Connor, a little bit of relief. But that roar that you're going to hear, I'm sure, will be because David Clifford is back after injury. Football of the Year 2022 and 2023. Good to see David Clifford back in the Kerry jersey and taking his place in the full forward line. And the player that's going to make way is Conor Gainey, who's had a very good opening 3 rounds of the Allianz Football League, I must say.
Yeah, one of 5 former Pobbleskull Corkagüina lads playing tonight, Marty, so we're very proud of all of them.
And rightly so. Pushing the back as clear as day under the night sky in Tralee. Mike Breen. Shawnee O'Shea looked around but decided to go forward instead. Claudie Clifford. Shane Ryan is joining the attack and has arrived now. Paolo Björklier. Mike Breen. Claudie Clifford. It's been 10 minutes since Kerry scored. But they have the major advantage on the scoreboard, 113-9, but they still have 19 minutes to go. Sudden burst of speed of Björklier, gathered easily by Evan Comerford. Keil Clancy, under pressure from Paul Gainey.
Yeah, good tackling here now, Marty.
Good play for Dublin, using the long ball to get themselves out of trouble. Look at that statistic on your TV screen. 50% possession for Kerry, 50% for Dublin. Big difference in comparison to the first half statistics. Nice ball inside towards Sean Bugler, takes the shot, and that's over the bar. Third point of the match for Sean Bugler. Good ball inside.
Yeah, Dubs are winning the second half. Is it 6 points to 1, Marty, is it? So, you know, Kerry need to get the scoreboard working again.
Larkin O'Dell is coming on for Dublin, and the player that's going off is Kevin Lahiff.
Especially with the 2-pointers, you know, there is no lead is too big, and 6 points now at this stage with almost 20 minutes to go isn't unsurmountable for Dublin.
Shane Ryan's kick out, again caught by the wind. Damien Burke has to go down on it. Nice, lovely chip up by Sean Bugler. Has options and hits it beautifully. The Dubs on tour. Hill 16 down at the town end really are responding to this beautiful piece of skill by Bugler. Not alone the chip up, but the finish.
Yeah.
Excellent play.
Excellent, Marty. He had a few misses in the first half, but as we said, that's more like him, and that's more like the way he's been playing.
Kick out from Shane Ryan again. Picked up by Sean O'Shea. Run forward is Graham O'Sullivan. Good work here by Sean O'Shea. Dublin a little bit confused, but they're now more organised in the back. Paul Gainey. Cathal Beagliach. Spreading it wide over towards Mike Breen. Alex Gavin is staying beside him. Micheál Burns taking a shot which is going wrong side of the post from a Kerry perspective. Fourth wide of the match for Kerry.
More likely to get a score from that side with the way the breeze is, Marty, but Micheál pulled that one across the goals.
Well, got it. Luke Brannock gets a chance. And that is not going to curl in under any circumstances. Ball stays well wide. Shane Ryan going to take the kick out here. All-star goalkeeper in 2022.
They're going the other way, Marty. Yeah, the two lads went the other way, and even though it's going to be shorter, it's not as cluttered over there, and it worked.
Well gathered by Dermot O'Connor. Advantage, says the referee. His arm outstretched.
Yeah, well worked from the Kerry lads there, both the two midfielders and Shane Ryan. Surprised they didn't do it earlier. Great tackling from the Dubs.
Niall Scully lays it off towards Owen O'Donnell. Good defending by Kerry. Great pressure.
Great physicality from both sides, Marty. Great to see it.
Nice ball over towards Graham O'Sullivan. Switching wings. Back out for his Paddy Clifford. Heading towards goal.
David's 1-on-1 inside if they can look in.
Opportunity provided to Joe O'Connor. David Clifford almost got the ball, and Dublin have it once more. A counter-attack. Calling for it is Sean McMahon from Raheny. Seeing the space in front, double marked momentarily. Kieran Kilkenny to Brian Howard. Tom Lahiff. Lee Gannon to Brian Howard once more. Kieran Kilkenny gives and goes. Good combination football here by Dublin, but they're overdoing it. And Kerry stay firm without overreaching. and not indulging in fouling, just trying to make sure they have a physical presence. Long ball works out all right for Kerry with Graham O'Sullivan tapping it down. Kerry under pressure. Free for Dublin. 65 metres out. Tom Lahiff. Kieran Kilkenny. Still plenty of time. 13 minutes to go. And that is quite superb.
Outstanding, Marty. He was, before the game, he was out there visualising that exact kick. He stayed out longer than anyone else, and he was practicing and kicking and almost talking to himself without any ball, and when it came to the punch, then he was able to do it. Suddenly it's a 3-point game, Marty.
When you consider at half-time, Kerry led by 112 to 4 points. We did say about how strong the wind was. Niall O'Callaghan is coming on for Owen O'Donnell, who certainly has to impress Desmond Farrell. And Niall O'Callaghan, of course, is Con O'Callaghan's brother, won an All-Ireland club medal a few weeks ago. The kick out is taken by Shane Ryan. Punched down, gathered by right corner back Damien Burke. There is an electric atmosphere in Austin Stark Park, Tralee, right now. This is Dublin and Kerry. Ball back outside first, Paddy Clifford. Trying to make an angle, trying to draw out the Kerry, the Dublin defence. Not gaining any particular ground, but he still retained the possession. And Kerry determined to
Dubs
retain
have only
the
2 up, Marty. That's why everyone is calling for it, sure. It's completely obvious.
They have breached the 3-by-3. Now the Dubs come back running off camera. That's why people are clamouring.
They're playing the advantage because Kerry have the ball, to be fair to the officials, but Dublin had only 2 up for a good spell there.
Derek O'Mahony, the linesman, was waving furiously and eventually got the attention of the referee, Liam Devaney, who I have to say, from Mayo referee, is doing a very good job.
He's been outstanding, and just before that, a minute ago, when there was a pass to David Clifford and he was just on the halfway line, David even thought himself that he had crossed and he was one of the 3 up, but Shawnee Shea had actually gone further up at the far side, and you know, the officials were all over it, but that time it took a small bit longer to cop onto it. I think Liam Devaney was playing the advantage. Kerry had the ball, with no advantage was accruing, he brought it in, and Shawnee Shea just kicks it over the bar then. Interesting he didn't elect to bring it out, Marty, for the 2 there, as he could have and possibly put it on the ground. Just wanted to get the scoreboard working again.
Keith Evans is coming on from Micheál Burns, who's worked hard all evening here in Tralee. And also will surely, in terms of work rate, will have impressed his manager for that alone. Kick out is gathered by Brian Howard.
He's been hugely prominent in the second half, Marty, Brian Howard.
Kerry fouling, 3 to Dublin.
Brian Howard, Kilkenny, Bugler, Scully, the old soldiers are all getting involved, and they're driving the Dubs forward.
Lee Gannon looking for an option. Davy Byrne provides it. Almost past the 45. Kieran Kilkenny, more or less in the same zone he was in where he scored a 2-pointer a while ago. They're going for it again. Hits it with conviction.
It was inside, Marty.
It was inside. Cahill, just an effort there that just went to the left and wide. That was Luke Brannock that scored that.
Liam Devaney's gone in checking something now. See,
Liam Devaney is going into the umpires, and it's a Valentine's weekend, and that rather uniquely is a husband and wife team that are umpires. Declan O'Boyle and his wife Grace from Ardown, County Mayo, which is a little bit historic. I haven't come across a husband and wife team as umpires before, so well done to the O'Boyles. And happy Valentine's to Damien and to Grace as well. The Declan and Grace. As the ball comes to Kerry once more. Graham O'Sullivan. Dublin man has gone down injured. I think that looks like Lee Gannon with a hamstring as Dublin retreat as quickly as they can. That is Lee Gannon off camera, and there's an opportunity here for Kerry. Laying it off. Floating it in. And scoring. It's invaluable. Great score by Paddy Clifford. It's his first tonight in Tralee, but it's really crucial one.
Superb. He rode it in the wind. Sad scene down here in front of us. Marty Lee Gannon has gone down. He looked to hurt his hamstring again, and he's just back from a serious hamstring injury. So hopefully it's the other hamstring. It's not the one that he kept him out for the bones of 12 months.
Ball inside. Nice turn. It's Killian McGuinness, and it's an easy ball for the goalkeeper Shane Ryan. Niall O'Callaghan, I should say, is number 9. Keep changing the jersey numbers here in Dublin. Ball comes down towards David Clifford. Listen to the buzz when he gets the ball. Paul Ganey back to Clifford once more. He was looking for it, flicks it back. Not too sure how he did that, but it looks to be allowed as the ball drops in, and it hops over the end line and wide. David Clifford. That to me was a throw.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, all right, Marty.
Davy Keogh on for Lee Gannon. And we wish Lee Gannon well, because as Eamon said, having been out for so long, and he looked very frustrated as he left the pitch there. Another hamstring problem. Ball comes towards Tom Lahiff. Dublin chasing Kerry all through the second half. Brian Howard. Sean Bugler. This ball is going to swing outside the post and wide. 10th wide of the match for Dublin on an evening where the conditions are quite difficult. And of course you can see all the highlights of all the games tomorrow night on Allianz League Sunday on RT2 and RT Player at 9:30.
Marty, if I could just be cheeky enough to mention a GoFundMe campaign together for Fia, for little girl Fia Ronan. We're fundraising money for her to be able to go to America for some cancer treatment, so get on it if you have any few euro to spare.
And we wish her and her family all the best as the ball comes in. There's a little touch and Shane Ryan stood his ground and he stayed firm as the ball came in. That was actually a good save by the goalkeeper.
Great save, Marty. It's frantic, it's helter-skelter again. Howard prominent into Bugler. Was slightly reaching for it. Shane Ryan did well. He stood up, just hit the inside of his right boot, reacted to it, so great save. Hugely important, obviously, for Kerry.
Kerry under 21 goalkeeper back in 2018 that has moved up the ranks to be first choice for Jack O'Connor in the Kingdom of Kerry. And Jack O'Connor will need another substitute, as it looks now like Sean O'Brien, who played against Donegal last weekend in Killarney. As Cian O'Neill and Jack O'Connor have a quick chat about the tactics or the strategy or the changes that's going to take place now.
Knee injury anyway, Marty. I think there might have been a collision in that last kick out that came out. Not sure if it's Tom Lahiff maybe that's down. I wonder, Dublin, are they out of subs at this stage? Have they 5 on? Is that one of the reasons that they're trying to see if they can get him to continue?
Still concerned about the player that's down injured. I think that could be
It's Kieran Kilkenny, I'd say.
Kieran Kilkenny as well. Yeah, it is Kieran. And thankfully he's okay.
Be interesting with the Dubs now, Marty, if will they start trying to work that 2-point arc. They are only 2 of those down, with now there's still plenty of time to go.
Niall Scully giving it try as Cian Murphy. A wall of green and gold jerseys are across that 45-metre line. Brian Howard. Nice ball inside towards Cian Murphy. Dublin just about retaining the possession. Brian Howard thought momentarily for having a shot, decided against it.
Yeah, if it was the summer, I'd say he'd have been having it, Marty, because that's his slot. He loves that outside of the right shot. They've opened one up over at the far side now.
Here comes the shot, it's outside, and that is sailing between the posts and over the bar. That's a brilliant, brilliant score by Larkin O'Dell.
Just obviously the breeze is a big factor here tonight, Marty, but it just goes to show with the 2-pointers the way any lead can be pulled back in. Only 2 points in it now. Kerry need to get their hands on this ball.
Sean O'Brien is coming on, and it looks like Joe O'Connor is the player that's going to make way for Sean. The two O'Connors have done so well for Kerry, particularly in the first half when they dominated. Maybe a little bit less so in the second half, as the wind here certainly played a factor, because Shane Ryan's kickouts have just barely gone past the 45, between the 45 and 65. As the ball is knocked down as Dublin come chasing, trying to scramble it out. They have the ball once more. Kieran Kilkenny, 5 minutes left in the clock of actual playing time, 2 points between them. Wonderful comeback by Dublin. Getting the ball back again for Brian Howard, Kieran Kilkenny, the names that have been synonymous for so many years with Dublin, the experienced lads on this Dublin team. In the centre is Sean Bugler if required, and he is. Niall O'Callaghan has the confidence to have a go, but was never anywhere close.
Yeah, it's probably one of the things we'll be watching as the year goes on, Marty, balancing the going for those 2 points, and there's still plenty of time to work a couple of 1-pointers as well, so, or even a 3-pointer to try and win the game, but we'll see as teams balance the risk and reward of that.
Kick out again, caught by the breeze. And Dublin have certainly come to life in this second half. Solo and go, big factor in the new rules. This is hit beautifully. Oh, that's a fantastic score. And he's done it again. That's 2 2-pointers by Larkin O'Dell. And the Dublin supporters down at the town end are absolutely ecstatic. What a comeback by the Dubs in downtown Tralee.
Massive contribution from Larkin O'Dell. 2 superb 2-pointers there.
Now is there a winner here, and the momentum is unequivocally with the Dublin team in the second half, as Kieran Kilkenny lays it off quickly. Pass goes astray, almost. Ball comes over, and Dublin are rocking and rolling now. Luke Brannock once again finds the target. Look at the Dublin supporters. This is not Hill 16. This is Austin Stack Park Tralee on a winter's night in February. As the ball is kicked out, up goes Jimmy O'Connor. Kerry need the possession, and they need it quickly. They find themselves incredibly trailing now by a point with about 3 minutes to go. Great burst by Damien Burke, still going strong at right corner back. Now more than ever they might need Deborah Clifford. Ball into the centre towards Mike Breen. He's outside the he's inside the 40-metre arc. Giving it over for Shawnee O'Shea, trying to make an angle. Brian Howard with him. So too is Sean McMahon. Shawnee O'Shea giving it back to the goalkeeper, Shane Ryan. The clock says 67 minutes and 44 seconds. Paudie Clifford willing to run at the Dublin defence, trying to make room, but he runs out of space. He runs out of the possession of the ball as well, and the referee is not blowing his whistle yet. Now he does, and he's given a free. Not too sure which he pointed there, because I was watching it up close. It's going to be a throw ball.
It's ferocious, Marty. It's so intense, and both sets of players deserve massive credit. They're putting in huge effort, and they're going for every ball as if their lives depended. It's great to see it.
The clock is stopped again as Cian Murphy seems to have picked up an injury in that exchange. But drama in Tralee. It really is a wonderful comeback by Dublin. Kerry looked in control for most of this game, leading by 1-12-4 at half-time. Now the singing can start.
The certainty and the clock is great as well, Marty. You know, it's stopped here. There's an injury going on. If this was, you know, last season and the clock was ticking into the red, we'd be wondering how much was left and so on. Whereas everyone in the ground now knows that there's that minute and 47 seconds left. Dublin get their hands on this ball. They'll probably be able to, you know, see it out and win the game. Kerry get their hands in it. They'll have an opportunity to equalise.
Throw ball. Referee.
Third man.
Don't know when he's going to throw it again.
Yeah.
He's trying to separate 1 against 1 here.
Mike Breen ran in from outside.
Up it goes. Brian Howard gets a touch. It's physical. It's tough. Cian Murphy, having just picked up an injury, bravely goes down on the ball. The centre half back from Thomas Davis, Tala, has played his heart out.
Kerry have to go after it here now, Marty. They shouldn't let them beyond halfway.
Davy Byrne looking for it as Larkin O'Dell goes back the long way. Backfires Cian Murphy. We are now 1 minute away from the hooter being sounded in Austin Stack Park, Tralee. And Kerry, having led by 11 points at the break, now find themselves trailing by 1 as we're into the last 50 seconds. And Kerry need the ball badly. Possession is vital as well for Dublin. This will be a huge boost if they can beat Kerry in their own backyard, when the Kingdom look to be so much in control. Davy Byrne. As Dublin go forward, running at the Kerry backs. Looking around for support. Making himself available is Niall Scully. 20 seconds to go. Brian Howard. Davy Byrne, you'd never think he was away for a year. He's played so much ball this afternoon and this evening here in Tralee. Ball over towards Sean Bugler. Many of the players in this Dublin squad have played their part, but none more so than Larkin O'Dell. We're into the 70th minute. The hooter is about to sound. The referee is going to blow his whistle. He has blown his whistle. And he has actually blown the full-time whistle. Drama in Austin Stack Park, Tralee. Dublin trailing by 1-12-4 points at half-time. Fought back magnificently with a wonderful strong breeze to their backs. And while Kerry will be hugely disappointed, Dublin will be absolutely chuffed that tonight in Tralee they won by 1 point, 19 points to a goal in 15.
Yeah, huge comeback from Dublin the second half. They deserve massive credit, Marty. It shows again, breeze significant, but under the new rules with those 2-pointers, Larkin O'Dell's ones were significant in particular. Kieran Kilkenny, they made a huge difference, brought him back into it. Sickener for Kerry, to be honest, to be up that much at half-time, playing very well. They didn't handle playing into the wind as well in the second half, but plenty to build on from both sides. Brilliant game of football, great battle, massive credit due to both sets of players and managements.
Wonderful game of football and a wonderful, wonderful fight back by Dublin in the second half. Wind assisted, but they certainly produced the goods. Dublin and Kerry on Valentine's weekend. There mightn't be much love, as I said, but there's a lot of respect. Full-time score here in Austin Stack Park, Tralee. It's Dublin, 19 points. Kerry, 1 goal and 15.
Thanks a million, Marty. Thanks very much. That is Dublin's first victory in Tralee since November 1982. Gooch, you were even born back then. You weren't, you were 83.
No, I wasn't, no.
How did Dublin get their way back? 11 points down at half-time, even allowing for the wind. What brought them back in?
Yeah, well, to be honest, Damien, we probably didn't see it coming at half-time, and they showed brilliant character in the second half. I think their work rate, some of the turnovers, the pressure they put in on Kerry in that middle third, and they just edged their way back into the game. And obviously the 2-pointers, we've spoken about that, how crucial they are. But I think from a Dublin perspective, they had brilliant leaders on the field. Kilkenny was competing for ball around the middle. Bugler was brilliant. But then for the likes of Luke Bratnick to come on and kick 2 points, for Larkin O'Dell to kick the 2-2-pointers, new players to stand up, Theo Clancy David Clifford comes on for 20 minutes, he keeps him, nullifies him. It was a very poor second half performance in Kerry. They're going to be hugely disappointed, but for this Dublin team, it's character building, new players, the confidence that they can take out of this going down the road. That's a big thing for them, because you didn't see it coming at half time. A brilliant second half by Dublin.
Colm, as regards Kerry, were they a little bit slack in the second half? What really cost them the lead and cost them the game ultimately, in your opinion?
I think turnovers, Damien. They got turned over so easy. Shane Ryan struggled on the kick out, not just him, but just a lot of the kick outs came out the same side. I was very confused. They went down the stand side once or twice, they got them, but he went down the terrace a lot, and I just don't think they had control of that second half in any shape or form. And even Sean O'Shea kicked the free, and that just tipped away 2 points as a poor return on a home patch. And
like it was 15 points to 3, and one of them was a breach. 15 points to 2, without a technical foul. Like, absolute dominant period. They're very sloppy in the third, but it was a combination of Dublin's work rate and the turnover, and with Kerry also being sloppy. Their forward play,
sloppy and a bit of fatigue, bit of fatigue
third,
as well.
They faded badly.
They faded badly. So Jack O'Connor will leave, and Cian O'Neill, they'll know they have a lot of work to do. Back to the training ground for them, but they have an uphill battle now. They've only 2 points on the board.
Yeah, and a lot of games away from home as well, Colm, over the next few weeks. I think they only have maybe one more home game left, so the mountain gets a bit steeper, doesn't it?
It does, but that's where you find out players. You have to travel the road, and for Dublin today, it's a morale-boosting win. They were asked a lot of questions, and in fairness to Larkin O'Dell, Kieran Kilkenny, I thought Bugler was superb as well. They stood up when they were needed the most, and you talk about Brian Fenton going and different players going. There was a lot of leaders for Dublin today that stood up and to show that they have plenty to show for the rest of the year.
The other aspect they'll probably be disappointed in, we were talking about the countdown clock, and you had 4 or 5 minutes to go, and you were thinking Kerry had to stop Dublin in that 2-point zone, and they sat in, and they gave Larkin O'Dell, was in the right position, right side of the field, had that space, and kicked 2 massive points to get them back into it.
Okay, let's go down to Marty now to see who man of the match is tonight. Over to you, Marty.
Sean Bugler, congratulations. You're the Allianz man of the match in this intriguing, exciting match. How do you feel? Because what a comeback by Dublin.
Yeah, relief is the first word that comes to my mind after that. We weren't happy with our first half performance. We let them play ball. I know the conditions were tough, but we let them play football in the first half. So we went back to the drawing board at half time and just went after what we're good at. And thankfully, it was good enough to get over the line at the end of the day.
And the win was a huge factor in that second half. It had to be, because the kick-outs, both for Evan and indeed for Shane Ryan, for Kerry, were dropping short.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as I said, the wind was a big factor in today's game. We knew against that breeze, all kick-outs going to go long. It was just about the ground battle, who's hungrier on the ground. And as I said, first half we stood off and we let them get under that ground battle. But thankfully, second half we stood up and we got under there and we won the war zone. Yeah.
When you think of the players that come on, like Orkin O'Dell with 2 pointers, considering there is talent in the panel, in the squad, which is so important going forward, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. All them young lads, unbelievable. They played Sigerson during the week. The majority of them played 60 minutes, and they left it all out in the field today. We know the talent we have within the group, and we believe in absolutely everyone from 1 to 36. And look, this is just a stepping stone. We'll recover, and we have a big game now next weekend against Derry.
How important is it for the squad to come down and win a match of this quality and this calibre in these circumstances?
Yeah, definitely. Look, any day you beat Kerry is always a good day, but in their home backyard, it's even sweeter, especially the circumstances, considering where we were at half-time and just to nip it at the end. So, yeah, unbelievable performance in the second half. As I said, we've a lot to work on. We'll go back to training now during the week and another big game next weekend.
Well, enjoy the long journey home, and congratulations, Sean. Well done to Dublin.
Thanks, Sean, and thanks very much, Marty, as well. In the first half, it looked like Kerry were going to romp home almost. Paul Geeney's goal with the right foot, and it left him 11 points up at the break. Dublin did have a breeze in the second half, but Larkin O'Dell and a few 2-pointers, what an impact he had himself and Luke Bratnock to get a famous win for Dublin. And it leaves Desi Farrell's men with 2 wins. They're fairly up at the table, fairly high behind Galway, but Kerry have, I suppose, the bones of an uphill battle to face and a few games away from home as well. So all to play for still. We'll have lots more discussion after the break. But first, competition time.
RT Sport want to send you and 3 friends to Dublin, staying 2 nights at Ireland's first Travel Lodge Plus, located in the heart of the city, close to all the main attractions. Once there, you and your 3 friends will stay in the hotel's superior super rooms with a tasty breakfast each morning. There's cocktails and dinner too in Moscow, the hotel's modern bar, kitchen and outdoor terrace, so you can relax and unwind before your next adventure in the city. Check it all out on travellodge.ie/Dublin City Centre. And so you can hit all the shops, there's a €1,000 cash prize to spend as you please. So for your chance to win the lot, answer this question. Armagh are the current All-Ireland football title holders, but which of these is their manager? Is it Kieran McGeeney or Desi Farrell? To enter, call the number on screen or text the word GAME followed by your answer and name to 57886. Maximum cost per entry is €2.50. You must be over 18 to enter. Lines will close at midday on Monday the 3rd of March. Full details are on rte.ie/competitions, where the lucky winner will also be revealed.
For more great shows, go to the RTE Player app on Sky.
A drama at the end here in Tralee, with Dublin recording a famous win. Paul Geaney hit his 30th career goal for Kerry, but Dublin caught him. And now we're going to hear from the winning manager, Desi Farrell. He's with Marty.
Desi Farrell, congratulations. I mean, you've achieved an awful lot in your football career, but I know it's a league game, but it was a big victory tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, it was a great battle out there. It was a war of attrition. The conditions played a major part in it, so Kerry were comfortable in the first half, and we got up and at it eventually in the second half. And yeah, just very happy with our lads. The character they showed, regardless of how the result went in the at the death there. I was just very happy with the display of courage and commitment there in the second half, because it could have been gone at half time, and I think the lads showed great determination and great character.
Desi, were you deeply concerned at half time? I know you had a strong win in the second half, but it was 1-12-4, 11 points down. What did you tell them to do in that second half, particularly with the new rules and everything now?
Yeah, no, it was just okay. We sort of knew that we were sort of only operating on half cylinders type of thing, that there was plenty more in the tank, and we just basically told them to throw the kitchen sink at it. We've nothing to lose here. You know, we're not chasing results in this league. It's about giving lads experience and exposure, and hoping that players play with enjoyment, and there's enough pressure built into the system at the back end of the season, you know. So for the league, we just want fellas to relax, enjoy their football, and just learn and enjoy the experience and get plenty of exposure to challenging environments like Tralee tonight.
You must be very pleased with some of the new kids. Owen O'Donnell, I thought, was great at full forward. I thought he worked very hard. Larkin O'Dell, two-pointers, fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of lads. Davy Keogh come in there, newbie as well. Niall O'Callaghan from Coola did really well as well. Alex Gavin was great too when he came starting for the first time. So a lot of debutants tonight, and just again, all very happy with the effort, and the result is a bonus.
One very quick question. Lee Gannon, how is he?
Yeah, Lee seemed to do a hamstring there, you know, which is very disappointing for Lee, given where he was coming from. But look, we'll get him assessed first thing in the morning and see where he's at.
Desi, congratulations. Thank you for doing the interview with us. Thank you.
Yeah, Kieran, Desi mentioned courage and commitment. Was Sean Bugler the embodiment of that tonight for Dublin?
Yeah, I think so, and he has been throughout the league, Damien, and particularly, you know, you're coming into that second half and you're facing an uphill battle, and, you know, particularly in that first 15-20 minutes when they were well down, he was the man. He's a great, his timing to get on the end of moves is excellent. You know, I always put him up there, similar style as Dermot Connolly. You know, he can kick off left and right. He gets on the end of moves, and, you know, he's becoming a real leader now in the Dublin attack. You can see here, he just knows that little run in behind and pops it over the bar. And then, you know, again here, brilliant pickup. You know, this is the type of thing we would see Dermot Connolly doing the pass, picks the ball up in off the left foot. Great score, and like, he's shown massive leadership in the league so far this year, bringing other players with him. And I thought the likes of Kieran Kilkenny, again, as one of the older players, he was fantastic all through the game as well.
Colm, when you saw what Larkin O'Dell did with his couple of two-pointers, why did it take Dublin so long to get into that zone and get into that range?
I think the wind was a major factor. To be fair, they were slow in the first half, and we were a bit critical of them not moving the ball as fast, but they were played with much more purpose in the second half, and the win was obviously a big place in that. But when he got into positions, no problem, very, very confident, and he lands it from a beautiful spot. We were saying here that Dublin possibly should take on more two-pointer shots, but again, Kieran Kilkenny, super when the game was on the line. He came in, made the right decisions, and popped the pass, and it's into Luke Bracken. Kerry defender probably too far off, but you can't take anything away from the kick. Kilkenny just in complete control, and you need your experience going down the stretch in big games. And it's just about making the right decisions, and again it's just straight over the bar. The Dubs didn't mess around the second half. They play with much more tempo, and probably for all of us to learn, Damien, that with big leads now it can be reined in much quicker with the 2-pointers, and the Dubs got 3 of them today. Kieran got 1 and Lorcan O'Dell got 2. Straight away, that's you're back in the game, you know, and I think teams will learn from that throughout the league.
That's a great point. We've seen it so often already this season, teams coming back from the death almost with the 2-pointers in the second half. In general then, Kieran, the new rules tonight, what have we seen? Anything good, anything bad? A bit of miscommunication with the goalkeeper kick out, only 20 seconds there. That's kind of come to prominence tonight. What do you think about the rules in general after tonight's game?
Yeah, I still be very positive about them. I think players are learning on the go. You know, we saw here, this is a perfect example of the advance mark where, you know, the advantage accrues, so you're definitively going to go for goal, and if it's missed, you're back for free. It's a great long ball in. That's exactly why the advance mark was brought in. You can see this is probably one that's a little bit frustration, you know, giving the ball back. He drops it and then hands it back. It's still not good enough, and you lose 50 metres. And I think that's one maybe that they might have to look at, putting it on the ground. That's pretty harsh.
That's a severe harsh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Paddy Clifford knew what he was doing. He was just trying to slow down the quick, to be honest. But these are things that the supporters are learning, the refs are learning, and the players will cop onto these things very, very quickly, because they can be major factors in the game. And I know certainly in the next clip there was a bit of confusion about it in terms of the number of players up.
3 up.
Yeah, exactly. So Kerry are playing here. Referee is just following the play. Kerry have a patient build up because of the wind. The players are trying to. You can see some of the players putting up their hands. There was a big roar from the crowd. Look,
yeah.
Shawnee O'Shea nearly stops playing. That's because there's a breach. Dublin only had 2 players over the halfway line. You can't really see it in this, but that's what the big play is. Eventually, Derek O'Mahony, who was the linesman on this side, gets the call into the referee. And it was an easy tap over free for Shawnee O'Shea. Players will learn. You can't cross the line. We're all getting used to it.
It was a crucial point at a crucial time.
It was. We felt Kerry were stimming the tide at that point.
Just in addition to that, while we've learned, 10, 11 points is not a lead. Is no lead anymore. Right? We're all learning there. I think there is also that ability. We saw Dublin in the first half keep possession for 3-minute periods, where Evan Comfort came up. So we still have that dilemma where the game can be slowed down, and the conditions obviously play into that, but that is something going forward as well, that you can still have those long periods of play, 2-3 minutes. We saw that a couple of times as well, so that's the other thing that's I'd say will be looked at probably down.
Will that three up top be self-policed in time for March the 31st when it comes into effect at club level potentially?
I think it's way more challenging at club level. Referees going to club games probably don't lucky to have umpires if they have them, never mind linesmen to help them.
Yeah.
They're not mic'd up. It's going to be a major challenge for club referees.
Okay, the tweaking will continue. Colm, Kieran, thank you so much. Dublin have come down to Tralee, and for the first time in 4 decades they leave here with a National League win. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all soon again.